Hello everyone and welcome back to your channel Lawpedia. This is me Jasmine, and in this particular video we'll be talking about street dogs' rights. So firstly we'll be seeing why we are considering this particular topic as of now, or why we are talking about it right now, and what is the legal aspect of the same. And next we'll be quickly moving forward and understanding 10 important things that you need to be aware about the topic itself. Let's get started. So the first aspect that you all need to be aware about is that why in news, or why are we discussing or taking up this particular topic. So observing that street dogs have a right to food and citizens have a right to feed them, the Delhi High Court has issued a set of guidelines for feeding and treatment of community dogs after holding that every dog is a territorial being. So recognizing that animals may be mute, but we as a society have to speak on their behalf, the Delhi High Court issued a set of guidelines which were very interesting, and hence this case becomes very important for you to be aware about. So in this particular judgment, court upheld the protection of such beings as a moral responsibility of each and every citizen, including the governmental and non-governmental organizations. So 10 things you need to know about the recent judgment. Quickly moving forward, the first important thing that the judgment talks about is Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960. Now section 3 and 11 of the said act, read with article 51AG of the Constitution, guarantees right to live in a healthy and clean atmosphere and the right to get protection from human beings against inflicting unnecessary pain or suffering. Now this is a right for the animals as well. So if you read the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act along with the article itself, you will realize that right to live in a healthy atmosphere as well as right to get protection from human beings against inflicting unnecessary pain is a right of the animals as well. Now the second aspect that the judgment talks about is relocate. Stray dogs are protected under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960 and the rules enacted thereunder, section 38 of the act. Particularly which rule we are talking about? Particularly the Animal Birth Control Rules 2001, which makes it illegal for an individual or the Resident Welfare Association or estate management to remove or relocate dogs. Also, according to the Animal Birth Control Rules 2001, street dogs are required to be sterilized, vaccinated, and after that released into the same area from where they have been captured. It also requires sick dogs to be treated prior to their sterilization and vaccination, and this rule even states that incurably ill or mortally wounded dogs can be put to death only without pain and suffering. So this is a very important rule that was actually drafted according to the section of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act. However, the implementation of the said rule is a questionable factor over here. So moving forward to the third aspect. The third aspect is that the community dogs, that is the stray dog or the street dogs, have the right to food. This is a very important aspect. And citizens have the right to feed community dogs, but in exercising this right, care and caution should be taken to ensure that it does not impinge upon the right of others or cause any harm, hindrance, harassment and nuisance to other individuals or members of the society. Moving forward, we'll be seeing duty. This point talks about that it shall be the duty and obligation of every Resident Welfare Association RWA that we all have in our societies, or the municipal corporations in cases of RWA is not there, to ensure that every community dog in every area has access to food and water in the absence of caregivers or community dog feeders in the said area. The resident welfare associations that have been created is not only for our welfare, it is also for the welfare of that particular street or stray dog living in your area as well. So now the judgment also states that municipal corporations, at the request of the RWA or the local authority or any person volunteering to take such responsibility shall be responsible for having these stray dogs registered, vaccinated and sterilized. Now this shifts the burden onto municipal corporations to actually get these stray dogs registered and get them vaccinated and get them sterilized. So any person who wants to volunteer or who wants to work in that particular area can actually approach the municipal corporation with the plan, and the judgment states that municipal corporation then becomes responsible for the registration, vaccination and sterilization of the stray dogs. And the judgment also states that the dogs have to be sterilized and vaccinated and returned to the same area. So that's the fifth important point. Moving to the sixth important point, which basically talks about if any of the street or community dog is injured or unwell, it shall be the duty of RWA or the Resident Welfare Association to secure treatment for such dog by vets made available by the municipal corporation and or privately from the funds of RWA. Now moving forward to the seventh important point, that is street dogs are sometimes subject to abusive treatment by some residents of the community because of the widespread of wrong misplaced beliefs that all street dogs carry rabies virus. So now this is a general perception that you may also be aware about, or you may also have heard about, that mostly all these street dogs are carrying rabies virus. Please stay away from them, or please actually ill treat them, or maybe sometimes even some people eventually go on to the extent of physically abusing them. It is the responsibility of the community residents to get their dogs vaccinated against rabies every year to prevent the spread of rabies. Now the eighth point that the judgment talks about is that every RWA should form a guard and dog partnership, and in consultation with the Delhi police dog squad, the dogs can be trained to make them effective as guard dogs and yet friendly to those who live in that particular area. So this beautiful judgment actually goes on to state that how can we as human beings and them being these stray dogs can actually live together, where we provide them with suitable nourishment, food, etc. and in turn they provide us with this behavior of protecting the society, or with this protective behavior, and actually they often guard the society from various crimes. So once you establish this particular partnership, you train the dogs in your vicinity, probably the next crime that was planned to happen in your society will not happen. Moving forward to the ninth aspect. So the ninth aspect talks about no person can restrict the other from feeding of dogs until and unless it's causing harm or harassment to that other person. Any person is in full liberty and freedom to feed these stray dogs in the premises or the society in which he or she is living, however, keeping in mind the rights of the other persons living in the society as well. Moving forward to the last aspect, that basically talks about that Animal Welfare Board of India shall ensure that every resident welfare association or municipal corporation, in case the RWA is not available, shall have an animal welfare committee which shall be responsible for ensuring compliance of the provisions of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act and ensuring that there is an overall harmony and ease of communication between caregivers, feeders or animal lovers and other residents. This particular committee will be responsible for bringing all the stakeholders together, that means caregivers, feeders or animal lovers and other residents as well. So that's it for today's video, and I hope you did understand whatever we discussed about this beautiful judgment that was actually delivered by Delhi High Court, single judge. Stay tuned for more such videos. Of course, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section down below any other factor that you need to know about the issue. Till then, stay home, stay safe and keep learning.